I watched my family growing up. I watched them with their addictions to medicines, that are legal. They're legal medicines like pain pills and Xanax and all these things. And I watched them destroy and even kill some of my family members. And I said, that will never be a part of my home as I grow up. And I never took pills, and I would not take any of the, I'm not knocking anybody that does in certain situations. If I had a car accident and my leg was halfway falling off or something, and they tried to give me morphine, I probably wouldn't stop them. But outside of something like that drastic, I would never do it. I've never had to do it. So even Tylenol. I teach my children, if you get a headache, the first thing we do is pray over the headache. Jesus said we've been commanded to heal the sick. So I say, well, we have the power, so let's pray.
Diem Living the Podcast. I'm your host, Shane Gitmed, and today we have our first ever entertainer on the show, Marty Ray Project, and I'm super excited because he's from one of my favorite cities ever, Nashville, Tennessee. That's where he's based currently at the moment. So yeah, welcome to the show.
I'm so happy to be here. I love the name of your show. Seize the Day is what everybody should do when they wake up. They should wake up and say, this is the day that the Lord has made, and speak life into the day and seize it, because that's what he put us here to do. So I love that name. I do.
Oh, thank you so much. I actually loved it so much that before I even started this show or anything, I actually got it tattooed on my shoulder as a reminder every day, like no matter what happens, just live life to the fullest. So
you just look at your shoulder and you go, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be seasoned right now.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So tell us a little bit more about you and your background, especially with the fact that you're an entertainer. I mean, if you guys haven't checked out his music already, he's amazing. And especially, I was just telling him about his cover, Waymaker, of my reaction to that. And it's so good. So please check it out if you love worship music. So tell us about where you're from and how you live the holistic lifestyle.
Well, I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, raised in Arkansas across the bridge. I was about to say born in Memphis, Tennessee, born in Arkansas, but that don't even make sense. But anyway, I was born in Memphis, raised in Arkansas, and then moved back to Memphis when I was around 20, and was running a record service for my dad for years, and all the while having this dream of being a singer or some sort of entertainer. I wanted to be an entertainer of some sort. And I was always told in my family, and they weren't necessarily wrong. They were just what I call, and I guess everybody would call, realist. They believed that you had to use your hands to make a living. And if you had a dream such as what we do, even what you do and what I do, anything that involves entertainment of any kind, that's kind of a hobby or a pipe dream. And you're not going to make a living doing that. So that's what we were taught. And even in my school, we were kind of taught the same thing for the most part, unless you were an academia type child. And I was not. So they definitely were teaching me I better get a job at a factory and that type of thing. So outside of one teacher, I did have one teacher, I should say, that really pushed me to say, and she really said, you're going to be something someday. And I don't know if I'm something now, but I know she's proud. So that's all that matters. But anyway, so I'm just a guy who was taught to dream within his city limits, that could sing, and other people didn't think I could sing. So I was held back by my own mind for many years. And I think that was intentional, because I was a lot wiser when I finally did Carpe Diem. When I did Carpe Diem, I was a lot wiser than I was when I was 18. So God had plans for me to do this music, and I started putting out videos and things like that, and he blessed it. Now, that's a little bit of history about me, but as far as holistically, I watched my family growing up. I watched them with their addictions to medicines, that are legal. They're legal medicines like pain pills and Xanax and all these things. And I watched them destroy and even kill some of my family members. And I said, that will never be a part of my home as I grow up. And I never took pills, and I would not take any of the, I'm not knocking anybody that does in certain situations. If I had a car accident and my leg was halfway falling off or something, and they tried to give me morphine, I probably wouldn't stop them. But outside of something like that drastic, I would never do it. I've never had to do it. So even Tylenol, I teach my children, if you get a headache, the first thing we do is pray over the headache. You know, Jesus said we've been commanded to heal the sick. So I say, well, we have the power, so let's pray. And a lot of times that it leaves right then. But if it don't, then we put a cold rag on our head or whatever the case may be. Or like I said, like I told you the first time we spoke, I use a lot of peppermint oil, and peppermint oil or peppermint spirits. It really does a wonder for your GI, clearing, making sure you're flowing right, and it also does wonders for your mindset as well. Believe it or not, you take that and it affects your mind, and it's a beautiful thing because it's almost like it clears out the bile and your mind. So clears out the bile in your mind. But yeah, I do a lot of oil, things like that, oil drops. And when this corona hit, when this COVID hit, my wife's a nurse, you know, and she's worked on a lot of COVID patients, but we've never taken anything. We don't take things for the flu. And what we do is we take elderberry, euthanasia. And if we have been around someone that's been sick or that might be sick, or we think we're going to go somewhere in a situation, we will take grapefruit seed extract for about, I wouldn't recommend taking that too long because that can really mess up your esophagus if you do. But we take that. That's a very, very powerful natural antibody. So it's very good. So, you know, things like that. I've been doing that for a long, long time. So I like I told you, I don't know if that's holistic, the definition, but that's kind of what I do.
It's definitely an aspect. And isn't it so beautiful that we have these things at our disposal and it's natural? You know, these are provided by God. And it's so true with the peppermint oil. I remember when I first got exposed to essential oils, I was like, does it really work? Of course, there's a lot of skepticism in the beginning, but until you experience the benefits of it, you're like, how could I have ever ignored this before? How did I not give this a shot before? Because my parents they used to get a lot of migraines, and my mom used to have to take, you know, Excedrin, like a bunch of different things, because her head would feel like it was going to explode. Like that's how serious it would get. And I told her, I was like, let me just get you like a whole set of essential oils. And it, you know, comes with a nice pamphlet and tells you like what you could use each one for. And peppermint oil for migraines, like it completely helps her and my dad. So it's just amazing that once you expose yourself and you're open to what else is out there that can help you, just to see all the benefits that come with that. So that's great that you're teaching your kids that. I'm teaching my son that. How old are your kids, by the way?
13 and 15.
Wow, you have teenagers. Oh my gosh.
Daughters. I didn't even know that about peppermint oil. I didn't know that it helped with headaches.
Oh,
Maybe that's why I very rarely get a headache. I actually started taking peppermint oil because I was having gallbladder attacks.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I started researching. I was like, God put this gallbladder in me for a reason. I need to keep it. I want to keep it. So I actually did some flushes and stuff with apple juice, organic apple juice.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I was looking for ways to maintain. And that was years and years ago. I mean, years ago. And I've used peppermint oil for to keep that moving right ever since. And I still have my gallbladder. So
you're ahead of the game. You're doing this like 15 plus years ago. Like that's amazing.
Long time ago. Yeah. It was way before there was a name for it. You know what I'm saying? Like not maybe holistic was a name, but I think there's something. I don't know if this is what this is or not, but they call it something oil pulling. Is that what is that? Is that what I'm doing, or is that something else?
I would say it's more along like, well, because aromatherapy is like just like the scent of it, right? Like if you're diffusing it. I've never heard of the term oil pulley, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was it.
Well, there's a term that says oil pulling. I don't know what that means really, but I always took it as it was people like me that were using essential oils for
ingesting it.
Yeah, for something. So I don't know, but maybe I could be wrong. I'm not this, but like I said, I was doing it not before anybody, but I was doing it before it became this massive
movement.
thing. Like now, and now it's all over the place. Now,
Right.
I used to have to really search. I used to have to drive all the way to Whole Foods and
Yeah.
search through a lot of aisles just to find peppermint oil and things like that. And they didn't actually have a massive oil aisle back then, you know. But
Right.
anyway, yeah, it's been a journey. I'm glad it's popular though, because that helps me to have access to more.
You just read my mind, because I was going to say, like, back then, I can only imagine how difficult it was to get your hands on something like essential oils. Now it's easy. You can find just about anyone that's either selling it, or Whole Foods, Sprouts, all of them. But back then, when no one really understood what gluten intolerance was, dairy intolerance, like just all the things that a lot of people still are dealing with, but back then we didn't have the answers for it or enough knowledge in general. So at least you found the answers way back when. So now that it's super popular, you're like, oh, I already know this. So it's not.
Yeah, there's an old rap song that is the theme song for essential oils. It says, "Back then they didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me." You know what I'm saying? That's the theme song for essential oils.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. It's true, because like it's just crazy, because now everything holistic is so popular. More and more people are exposed to it. I don't know if you've ever seen a functional medicine doctor before, but all of those things, if you would have told me 5 years ago, I would have been like, what the heck is that? And I know someone where she told me that when she was looking into natural medicine, people would call her a hippie, or they're just like, okay, what is going on? Like, clearly there's no truth to this, but in reality, it was right all along. So I told
my grandmother, even when I was a boy, and my grandmother has been doing these type of things. She probably was doing it before there was a term for it, before holistic was even a word. She has always been using natural. Like, she would have this nasty green drink that she drunk every day of my life. And I tried a little bit at one point, and it was so bad. But she was drinking that forever, way before there was powder green stuff that you could put in your to make. She was doing that herself, making smoothies of like grinding up. Back when kale was just a garnish on a buffet.
yeah.
She was one of the first ones grinding up, putting it in a drink. And I was like, Mimi, that stuff goes on the buffet. That's like plastic.
Under a lobster.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about kale is kale was the redheaded stepchild of the vegetable. Like, nobody wanted that. You could have got a whole thing of that for free. At the end of a buffet line, you could have said, "Can I have some of this kale?" And they would have said, "Yeah, just take it. We don't want it." Now, you got to pay like how much, $1.50 or $2 an ounce or a gram, whatever it is. It's just crazy how much it costs.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
I hate that things do that.
It was like there all along, and all of a sudden, now that the secret was unlocked, everyone's like, oh shoot, now we got to rack the price up because everyone wants this now. No, that is so true, because I remember even when I was a kid, like, there was like powdered smoothies that you could make. What was it? V8. Back then I thought V8 was the one that where you could get all your your veggies, fruit, whatever. Yeah, but
that was your first holistic.
Nowadays I juice more of my own stuff. My parents juice a lot too, and that's really fun, because then that there's no additives in that, right? Everything that you're putting in there, it's just straight natural sugars, natural this. So those are my favorite. Do you juice at home at all, Marty?
We used to. I do have a juicer. I have two, actually, very expensive ones. And I went through a juicing phase, but the cleanup is so hard. I wish they would come up with a juicer that cleans itself.
There is one.
Oh, is there?
Yes, it actually just released recently. My dad got one, because I had the same issue. I was like, man, it takes like 7 days and 7 nights just to like keep this juicer clean every day.
Oh
my God.
So what's the one? I need to know. Even though a shameless plug here, you can cut it. You can beep out the word until they pay you. Let me hear it.
Actually, I don't remember the brand name. I'll definitely send you the link after this show, but it is a self-cleaning machine. And so, and when my dad first told me about it, I'm like, there's no way. Like, how is that possible? Especially knowing how many parts are involved and because I had Breville before. It's like the stainless steel, and I still have it, but I just don't use it as often because of the cleanup. But yeah, my dad uses it now. He was just making beet juice before I came home to do this episode. So
I was about to say he was just making beats.
Yeah.
While he was drinking his juice. Man, your dad's a producer.
Oh, he has many talents, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's something I didn't know about yet before. So.
Probably worked with your dad a time or two on something.
Yeah, hey, I gotta ask him where his roster's at, but so that's so great. So I'm curious, how is, like, I guess the holistic scene in Nashville, because it is the South, and I asked this with another guest before that lives in North Carolina, because the South has fried chicken. It's very it's very heavy on the types of foods they have. So delicious, but obviously not the best for you if you eat it all the time. So how is it over there? Like, is there a lot more, like, I guess are there more Whole Foods now? Is there more farmers markets? Like, what is it like?
I think there's always been tons of farmers markets down south, down here. That's always been a thing. But people would come to the farmers market, get the fresh fruit, then take it home and make it with a bunch of butter, because that's just the Southern way. Yeah. So you might go to the farmer's market, get your cucumbers and your green beans and all that, but you're going home and you're putting a pound of butter in there, and then a little bacon in the green beans to make it taste really nice. So that don't necessarily mean that, you got a healthy lifestyle because you're going to a farmer's market. But nowadays it does seem like in the South, there's definitely a lot more Whole Foods, a lot more Sprouts, and the Krogers. I don't know if you know what Kroger is over there.
I love Kroger. I used to live in Georgia actually for like 3.5 years. So Kroger was my store back then.
I know. So Kroger now has an organic section in most of them. So, or a natural organic, whatever / natural organic. And I was so happy when I was in Memphis that they instilled those. And I said, man, this is awesome. You could come here. I don't have to order it online. I don't have to drive all the way to Whole Foods. So, because Whole Foods is a little overpriced, to be honest with you. And I was hoping when Amazon bought it that the prices would go down, but they didn't. You just get a discount and points or something like that. So there is a benefit, a little bit of a benefit, and then there's Trader Joe's now down here as well. And I'm sure y'all have Trader Joe's over there, and y'all have Whole Foods as well, right?
Yeah, we do.
Right. So I think that the health industry just bloomed and blossomed and blew up around, it seems like around the mid 2000s, it just like skyrocketed. And it was the biggest industry. There was tons of pyramid schemes you could get involved with that had to do with the health industry. I think Herbalife was one of them, and they're still a big one, I believe. They sponsored a soccer team. So there was a lot of those companies that formed out of people's consciousness knowing, hey, we should be more healthy, and it doesn't involve medicine as far as traditional medicine. We don't have to. Every time people started learning more things like, well, the doctors get kickbacks when they prescribe certain drugs. Or when I was growing up, now I'm 38. I don't know how old you are, but when I was growing up, I do not remember seeing one commercial for drugs. Never did I ever remember seeing, hey, ask your doctor about this and that. And then they start telling you all the side effects. Never. I never seen that. I never seen the lawsuit thing. Hey, if you or a loved one took this medicine, you call such and such law firm. I never seen any of those things because they weren't advertising. I don't think at that point the pharmaceutical industry was a multi-trillion-dollar industry. I think they started utilizing commercials to build this empire into a multi-trillion-dollar industry, which is crazy to think about. You shouldn't advertise drugs. Like, I shouldn't go and ask my doctor about a drug. He should already know what to prescribe me if he's a doctor. But the problem is he's a medical doctor. That's what MD means. So they're trained to, and I'm not knocking any MDs. Like, I know it's not their fault, but they are trained to prescribe you medicine or cut something out or burn something or something like that, like remove something. Like, they're not really trained in a holistic way. Like, you can't even say that. If I told you right now, if I said, I have this substance. It's natural. It grows in my backyard. I don't know why it does. God put it there. It's these weird little mushrooms. You eat these, and you will never have heart problems again. If I told you that, and that was true, 100% true, I tested it on my family. If that was 100% true, and I told you that, and all I was doing was giving this away. I'm giving this to people who have heart problems. I'm not selling it. I'm saying, here, I want everybody who has a heart problem, come. These things grow rapidly. They grow. I have to get rid of them, And then this isn't true. I'm saying if it was, then what do you think is going to happen? The government's going to come in. They're going to burn the entirety of my backyard, probably put me in jail for saying that I have a cure for something that's not a medicine. Matter of fact, the law, I believe, states that you cannot call something a cure unless it's a medicine, and unless it's went through the FDA. So the FDA has to say this is a cure, and they will never say that about a plant. They're not going to say it.
Right. And most people, they only go by what the FDA says, but who's in charge of the FDA? The government. So it just kind of some people just run around in circles, like trying to figure out, well, which is technically the right way. And honestly, my biggest advice, because I'm someone who was able to reverse so many things that I was sick with naturally, it's like, you just have to try it on yourself. Like, what are you personally dealing with as far as your health? Okay, now talk to someone that is, very well versed in the holistic field. Try it out and see the results. Because I can guarantee that almost any person that has gone to an MD, a doctor, Western medicine, tried to get a cure for whatever ailment they had, never got a solution. And they're still just maintaining symptoms, and they're not actually healing. And so what do? They're so programmed to think, oh, as long as I get my prescription every month, I'll be at bay. And I had to remove that mindset as well for myself, because I'm someone that's always very, very busy. I have a lot of things going on. So I need things to be like efficient, quick. But I realized throughout my own healing journey that it's going to take work. It's going to take time. It's going to take research and trying all different natural, substances, whether it's plants, whether it's herbs, to really get a hold of what I'm dealing with. And lo and behold, after many years, I came out on the other side after lots of prayer, a lot of just trying to find the answers. So it's really crazy. And I mean, you brought up a great point that, yeah, if the government got a hold of you ever saying something like that, they would just rip you out. They'd be like, nope, you're not going to do this, because at the end of the day, what does that do? It takes away their customers. It's less money from their pockets, and it's horrible. It's just horrible to think that the pharmaceutical aspect of our world, they're not designed to heal. They're designed to make money. And so it's a really sad thing, but I'm glad now, like we were saying, like more and more people are learning about what they can do to find relief, find a cure, and they can get out from all of the medications they're on. So
I think the beauty is it's a common quote, knowledge is power. I think that's one of the beauties of the internet, is that knowledge, we all are gaining this consciousness of, maybe the questions are being raised, and they started being raised, like I said, it seems like around mid 2000s, when people started going, well, all you do is tell me I'm going to die. But here's a person that was told they had 6 months to live, and they chose not to do chemo, not to do surgery, and here they are living because of they changed their diet. And if you look back, and if you do enough research, not to get all conspiracy theorists, but this is true facts. When the American Cancer Society, which is, I believe, owned by the Rockefellers, which are just a rich family, back in the day, there was a man named Dr. Gerson. You ever heard of Dr. Gerson?
I haven't.
So Dr. Gerson had what was called the Gerson therapy. And he was taking natural things and healing people of tuberculosis, and literally healing them of them. And he had all these documented cases, and he even brought some people with him that also that he had cured of cancer through the Gerson therapy. And he brought these people to this Senate hearing, or whatever they call it in the big government, to get funding for the American Cancer Society. And he brought them with him, and he showed these senators this and all this and the proof. and they still went forward. He said, here's the proof that this right here will, this person was healed by changing their diet. No chemo. I don't know what he said. I don't know if chemo was even existed back then. This was a long time ago, but he said none of their methods, no funding really needed, because here's the answer. They didn't want that answer, right? They didn't want it. And that's what's scary, is that you got all these people, even including my own family, that have died of cancer, and never, because doctors are trusted so highly. The same doctors that just in the 60s were prescribing cigarettes, right? These people prescribed cigarettes. You didn't know that? They said, yeah, doctor recommended cigarettes. They were on commercials smoking. Doctor recommended. So these are the same people that these people trust. So I get kind of, mad about it when I talk to people sometimes. I'm like, you're putting every bit of your trust in these medical doctors. The same, they used to prescribe everything under the sun that now is considered dangerous, highly dangerous. They prescribed that to you at one point. So it's like, I don't know, like, you'd be better off trying to learn for yourself now that you have the information. Back then it was harder because you didn't have any information. Right. You had to believe that these guys knew what they were talking about. And I don't think that they're just setting out to hurt people. I think that they're just trained by school to believe it. And I'm not saying they're stupid or they're dumb. A lot of them they're very smart men and women. They have the best interest of their patients at heart. They do. But there's a lot of them that could care less. They just making money. It's, here's a prescription, try this. If that don't work, come back. We'll try something else. Right. It's like changing parts on a car that needs fixing, right? You say, well, you know what? I'm going to cut that out. And you cut out this. And then they says, well, I'm still having this problem. Oh, well, come back. We'll look at, oh, I see what I did. I need to get the rest of this or to get that. And you just start going, man, I'm not a car. Like, you can't just be cutting my parts out. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, any of that you can feel free to cut out. I'm just saying that's all true though. You can look up Gerson, Dr. Gerson, and his legacy that he left, and even what his daughter who lived, she might still be alive, but when I discovered them, she was well into her 90s, and she lived exactly by the plan of her dad's plan. And they won't even let them have a Gerson therapy center in this country. You have to go to Mexico, because you can't have it in this country because you can't. They say that there's a lady that went to a doctor, just real quickly. There's a lady that went to a doctor. She had stage 4 cancer of the worst kind. She was dying. She looked like a skeleton. They have video documented proof of this, the Gerson clinic. And they show the lady in pictures and whatnot. The doctor said there was nothing he could do. She was at the Mayo Clinic. There's nothing he could do. And he really knew that there was nothing he could do. She was dying. And she somehow got in touch with the Gerson Clinic, went there. They put her on the treatments. And you could see her. She now went from a skeleton to somebody that was like very healthy looking. Matter of fact, a little too healthy. And then she goes back to the doctor. And the doctor says, he can't believe it. He's like, wow, he was excited to hear about it. And the minute he tried to say anything, he's gone. He's no longer at the Mayo Clinic.
Wow.
So you think about stuff like that. And I encourage you to go, and anybody else, if this is left in there, I encourage anyone to go watch a movie called The Beautiful Truth, if you can still find it in this country. I don't know. But A Beautiful Truth, there's so much truth in that. And it says beautiful truth, but it's actually a really sad truth.
I'm definitely going to look that up, because I love educating myself on this and seeing, the proof that's there, because it's in another way. It's like them silencing us because they don't want the impact to happen, because it's not in their best interest. And it breaks my heart. And that's why I am so passionate about spreading anything I can holistic related to the world, because everyone should have this information. Everyone should have access to these resources if they want it. It's terrible that it's being withheld just because they want to profit off of, that person's illness or whatever the case. And yes, of course, not to knock on Western medicine at all. I think, Western medicine is good for certain things like surgeries, if you really absolutely need it. Right. you need to remove a tumor, or, you know, you broke your leg and you have to get it, you know, put back together, just whatever. But I feel like when it comes to these types of cases where you're dying or you have, you know, an illness, there are ways to reverse that. And that just shows how powerful our bodies are if we just give it what it needs. You know,
Right. That's how God created them.
right.
He's so masterfully created. It says we were fearfully and wonderfully made. People don't really understand what that means. That means that he very intricately made our bodies. They still can't explain the human eye, how it works and why it works. So God did that, and the immune system is a very powerful thing. And even all of your cells, all of your body parts, they are brand new after so long. Each one is different, but they're brand new after so long. So if you're horribly sick, and you change the way you eat and you start giving yourself good things, if you can just hold out until that organ or whatever it is becomes new, then you won. Absolutely. Right? Without cutting it out, without all these things, you won. And it's just, I know that sounds that makes it sound like it's simple. It's not simple. When you're somebody like me who has eaten everything under the sun and you're fat, right? It's a little hard to then go, okay, now I have this problem or whatever problem. But what most people do, not me, but what most people will do, they'll go, oh, my knees hurt, so now I need to go get some cortisone shots, and my back hurts. But they don't look like me. I look at it, I go, if my knees are hurting, I go, man, I need to lose weight because I'm too fat. That's why my knees are hurting. So I would say, yes, there's a place for Western medicine, but it should be a last-ditch effort. Yeah. It should be the last resort. It shouldn't be the front line. It should be the back of the line. So like the first thing is, okay, doctors should be trained to say, all right, change your diet. Let's start there. See where you get on your diet. Let's see what your body will do just off your diet. And then maybe he suggests a few essential oils. Maybe make sure you got these good vitamins. Make sure, matter of fact, even if you don't want to take the vitamins, start eating these particular foods because I see you need them, because they have the natural minerals and stuff like that. And then if that don't work, then at the very end of it, you say, hey, nothing else is working. This is your only option at this point. The first thing I would always do is pray, because I believe I've seen miracles. I'm just telling you the truth. I have seen instantaneous miracles. Instantaneous. But the first thing you do always in my life and around me is pray. The second thing is change your habits. And the very last thing, and the very, very last thing would be medicine of any kind or surgery. So I would, be honest with you, I would rather die than take chemotherapy. That's just me. You know what I mean? And I'm not knocking anybody that does. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But me personally, on my life, I would rather just die of whatever it is I have before I do that. And I know that a lot of people, there's this guy named Chris, forgot his name, but people should look up his story. Chris Beat Cancer is what is I think is chrisbeatcancer.com. He had colon cancer, and he told his story, and it's so crazy because he's 100% healthy now, and it's because he changed his diet. But one of the things he battled was when he got sick and they told him he only had so long to live, he said, you know what, I'm done with the cutting, and I'm not going to let you burn me or radiate me. I'll just go and what do I got to lose, right? He said, what do I got to lose? I'm dying anyway. I'm going to go and explore these natural methods of changing my diet and eating the right foods and things like that. So he did it, and he won. And his family, though, before he won, his family were the ones that were pressuring him, saying, you're being selfish. You're being selfish by not going and doing this. You're being selfish. We need you here if there's a chance for you to be here longer by this or this experimental thing or this or that. He was being pressured into doing it. And I think that happens a lot. And I think that happens a whole lot, because then you start feeling like, man, I don't want them to blame me, whatever, if whatever happens. And, but he did it, and hats off to him for taking the grunt of all those emotions, not knowing because he didn't know that he was going to win, but he won. Yeah. So I would encourage everybody to look up that story.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And it's crazy because now knowing more, I know more about like radiation poisoning, and that's what chemo is radiation. The effects on the body when you have radiation poisoning is terrible. Like your organs can shut down, and that's where it makes sense. Like, well, no wonder why people that go through chemo, they are falling apart, because you're literally just feeding your body all these radiation waves, and you're only making matters so much worse. And I love that you brought up the colon cancer aspect, because I actually had a colon cancer scare a couple of years ago. I know I look young, but I had a colon cancer scare. And so one of our family businesses is alkaline water machines. And there was a study done in the 1920s by this doctor, and I can't remember his name at the moment, but I have it on my files somewhere, where alkaline water is known to basically prevent cancer cells from growing. Because when your blood is acidic, and acidic meaning from the foods you eat, the things you drink, your acidic levels are going up and down. But if you drink alkaline water, it brings that acidic level down, because you're bringing your body back to its natural pH. It's a whole science like related explanation. But that was one of the first things that I did, was like, okay, I'm going to start drinking alkaline water only. Like, I'm not going to drink any other form of water, just this. Changed my diet. I was able to solve my food sensitivities. That was another reason why I didn't have the proper nutrition, is because I was allergic to so many things. But little did I know they were all connected, right? Like, once you find one thing, you're like, okay, how did this domino effect to another, condition? So that journey, that's why it took me so many years, was because I was kind of trying to figure out how to get a handle on each. And the person I go through for herbs, she brought up a great point about the colon, was because she has a friend that her mom had to get part of her colon cut. And it was because she was diagnosed with diverticulitis. And that's when you have these pockets in your colon. And if they get infected, that's when you have, you just get really, really sick, and you could die if it goes on long enough. But the doctors told her, we're going to have to go in, we're going to have to cut it out because you have this condition. But natural medicine will tell you, as long as you eat healthier foods, as long as you manage your bowel movements, like don't allow yourself to get constipated and everything like that, you wouldn't have to get it cut out. So it's things like that. That's why when you were mentioning how we're not a car, you can't just take things out. Oh, try another thing. We'll see if it works. If not, oh well. It's true. Like, we can't allow our bodies to be used almost as experiments, right? Like, oh, it may or may not work. So, but good luck if it doesn't. So right. It's crazy. So I think there's a lot of power in being your own advocate, and just not just following what you're being told by this and that person, because we can't put all our trust in them. It's absolutely true.
If people don't realize that they're being advertised to, they're being brainwashed by propaganda to take medicine. Here's our medicine. And how do the commercials always look? We all know how it's the happiest people in the world. They got these happy, healthy people. This is the medicine for this, and that. And then it's be happy, and then it's like, may cause, and it's so quick. Nobody listens to the end. They look at the happy people and they go, man, they're over here struggling. And they go, oh, that's how I become happy. It's a mind thing. It becomes a mind trick. And it's always been here. Propaganda has always been here, and it always will be here until the Lord comes and takes us home. It's going to be here. Propaganda is going to be here, and they use it for their advantage. They have the control of the media, and they will, all of it. And I ain't talking about political here. I'm talking about the entirety of the world. It's been used everywhere, not just in America. There's always been propaganda, and they know how to control people and how to make people believe. Like people like you and me, if we came out and had a big platform and started coming out against them, they would silence us somehow. I've seen this happen with people. When I mentioned that about the thing growing in my backyard, there's actually a man who was making bread. I don't know what he did, but he started making this particular bread just to try to help himself with high blood pressure. And it worked. And he started giving it away to his family and people like that, and he was giving it away and telling them this, if you have high blood pressure, come get some of this bread. And and then he started charging, but it wasn't to make money. It was to pay for the production of the bread. Right. And it wasn't like he was making millions. He was just trying to help people, and he had to get the money back, what he put in it. So as soon as the government found out, they came and there's a documentary about this. They came and they burnt down his fields, and they took all of his recipes and burnt down his area, put him in jail, because they're like, how dare you say that you can cure blood pressure with bread? How dare you, sir? FDA didn't test this. Like, that's the way they are. And then they've got people trained. If you go online right now and you say, I know for a fact that this mushroom will cure cancer. If you go and say that, they'll say, oh, and then you'll have 1,000 comments saying, did the FDA test this? Did the FDA this and this? FDA. And the FDA is almost like the Bible says that the devil disguises himself as an angel of light. That's kind of what the FDA is. Like, if they want to get something passed, it's passed. Why do people think, and I ain't trying to get super controversial here, but why do people think that this coronavirus vaccine is already available in less than a year? They can't find a cure for cancer, AIDS, SARS, flu, common cold. What has happened to the common cold? It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. And now all of a sudden they got this cure for COVID that quickly. I don't know. It just seems fishy to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I think if people think about it, they might use common sense and go, that is kind of fishy that we've had AIDS for the entirety of my life. I believe there's been AIDS and there's been cold and flu. They've never found a cure for that. Now all of a sudden they got a COVID vaccine that's the cure in less than a year. It just don't add up to me. It don't add up.
It's so true. And, I just had to make a point. It almost makes, when you brought up the whole Cancer Association, now it almost makes you wonder, well, why do we donate so much to them then if it's not?
I don't. And people might get mad at me for that.
General, yeah.
Yeah, people might get mad at me for saying that, but I don't trust them. And I'm not saying that everybody that works there, and I'm not saying that they don't do some good, because I'm sure they do. But it goes back to the same thing. The devil disguises himself as an angel of light. The only way to do that is to have good people in front of you. If you have an evil organization, you got to put good people here in front of you, because they're actually good people. So you see those people and you go, man, there's no way this is a bad company, because here's these people. I know these people. These people are great. Mm-hmm. This company can't be bad. But back here, they laugh because they're like, yeah, we got them, because on the outward appearance, we're great to these people. Like, I actually do support St. Jude. And it's not because I think, because they have, I will say, St. Jude, some of their therapies have saved a lot of children.
Right.
Not the way I would have done it, but it has worked. A lot of it has worked. And I love that. I love that they don't charge the families. The family, if you have, they bring you in, they comfort you, but you don't pay a dime. And that's the only cancer organization thing that I've ever supported because of that reason, because I have seen people leave there. I have seen children leave there and be healed. Matter of fact, a good friend of mine, when he was a boy, he had leukemia, and he went there, and now he lives a happy life, cancer free from that. But I'm not saying that that it's always a fail. There are times that it works. I'm saying that shouldn't be the first line of defense, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, you should be, even if it's your child, you should be able to say, okay, first we're going to try to implement these healthy items. Stop giving them chicken nuggets. We're going to stop giving them soda. Let's try to give them alkaline water. Let's try to give them a lot of carrots, and let's do this first. And but that's not how it works, because the cancer is such a scary word in America now, probably all over the world, but in America, cancer is a scary word. So if you say, if the doctor says it's cancer, but it's good, we caught it early, right? It's usually what they say. If they did, They said, we caught it early, so we can treat it now. Shouldn't be no problem. But then what happens is they start treating it and it gets worse, or something else happens. And it makes me sad, because it's like, man, if you caught it early, that's great. You caught it in time for them to change their diet and change the way they're living. And then if all else fails, then they can get the thing. And I hope nobody listens and they go, man, what a harsh human Marty is. But it's just like, I wish that all the information was there. And then people could really choose. Like this part, the good part that I consider good, wasn't drowned out, and people could actually have access. Here's all the cases of people that use this and were healed. Here's all the cases of people that use this and were healed. Here's all the cases of the people that use this and then died. And same over here. And they could look at that and do a comparative study and look at that and go, okay, looks like the ratio is better over here or over here. And then they make the conscious decision, but they don't even get to do that. Because how dare they listen to somebody that would ever go against a medical doctor who spent 8 years in school? You know, school doesn't necessarily make you smart, right? So anyway, I don't want to rant all day.
No, it's so true, because I feel like people need to, have these conversations, and really it's refreshing too, because there's not a lot of people that have these type of mindsets, right? Or are open-minded to other possibilities. And that's a great point that you brought up, that if we were given all of the options in front of us versus this tunnel vision that we're so brainwashed to having, then I feel like the success rate of people healing would significantly be higher. I just feel like that's what it is like you said, knowledge is power. And if people just had access to these tools, to, the studies that were done in the past that have proven track record of, success, then it would just make things so much easier. Because right now people react off of the very few options they're given in the first place from their doctor. And like, even though I have health insurance, I personally don't see my main doctor. I go to holistic functional medicine doctors. I do acupuncture. I'm going to be doing cryotherapy next week. So it's like things like that. I feel like if you love to, research and investigate, then please do. Like, the internet there's a lot of things on there, but I must say people have to be careful on what sources they look their information on, because some of them actually spread the wrong thing, like actually the complete opposite. Because I remember there was a time I was researching, I think I was researching oils, and there was countless articles saying that it's not safe to ingest, it's toxic, blah, 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 blah. But then you go and you actually try it, or you get it from a good resource, it's actually benefiting you. So there is still brainwashing articles out there that will try and like sway you another way. And, with Google, they can control what articles pop up first versus the truth, which is like on page 10. Yeah,
I'm about to say that. Yeah, they definitely do not want you to hear, because it's all one big machine, right? Google, the big techs, Google, and all of them, it's all one big machine. So whatever message they want, they get out and they drown out. That's why I don't use Google. I use DuckDuckGo, because it's unbiased. DuckDuckGo is actually looks exactly like Google. When you search it, it still looks exactly like Google, but first of all, it doesn't keep your information. It never knows what you searched in the past, and it's less bias on what it shows up, what it pops up.
I need to check it out. That sounds like, I would love that tool. And, having this conversation with you actually just sparked an idea because of how buried, holistic information is. How wonderful would it be to have like a website, or just if there were more websites out there that had like real legit information, and it could be like a #1 resource for this. Because I actually had this thought like a kind of a while back with, Carpe Diem living, where people are already coming to the show worldwide, global, for this type of information. How much better would it be to have other articles that could be read that dive deeper into the topics that we talk about? So I think I need to explore that, because I feel like we need to, it's my mission anyway, to make this type of information more well-known so more people can just heal. That's all I want. It's like, I can't physically heal anyone, and, it's up to God, of course, too, because if you have, depending on your faith, because everyone's different, of course, but I just think having just knowing that that's my impact and my contribution to this world and to just this group of people would be amazing. So
I think you should do that. I know that there are several websites out there that are very truth. Matter of fact, I'm on an email list from a website that is always telling the truth, even the hard truth, they tell it. So, and they battle algorithms because of it, you know. So, and that's kind of what we will all do. Same with you. So your SEO, when you start your website, your SEO might struggle because of, well, what we just mentioned, you know. So what you should do is when you start gathering email, get you an email list. And so all your information goes directly to your people, and they will see it. And you should do it. Anybody that's in what you're doing should definitely be a part of the army.
Yeah.
There's an army out there.
Yeah.
Right. And they're rising. That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I never get to talk about this, you know, on any type of interview or anything like that. It's always music or whatever, you know, it's never this. So this is pretty cool. I'm really happy to have been here.
No, thank you so much. And I just love connecting with people that just get it, right? Like it really is hard. And even within my own family and friends, like I was the one who kind of like opened this window of like, look, this is the possibilities, because my mom's in the healthcare industry. So is, you know, I have other family members that are too. So just being the one to be like, hey, not really black sheep, but being the one that's like, hey, there's something different that's out there. And I just want to show this to you all because it's obviously worked for me. And everyone in my life saw how sick I was. So to see the transformation is like, how could you not believe, you know, the stuff that I'm bringing to the table? So, but oh my gosh, yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you and talking about all of these things. I've learned, especially with DuckDuckGo. I'm definitely gonna check this out after this interview. But where can our listeners find you online? I know you know, a lot of your stuff is music, which I highly recommend for everyone to check you out. But yeah, tell our listeners where they can find you on YouTube and Instagram.
I'm on every social media. It's very easy. It's at Marty Ray Project. And you can also go to my website, martyrayproject.com, or you can listen to my podcast, The Marty Ray Project Chats, on any place where podcasts are heard. So that's about everything there.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you all again for listening today. I hope you guys had fun just as much as I did. And yeah, we'll all catch you guys next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.